Now that your husband is gone, pack your bags and leave forever, my daughter-in-law said at dinner. My son didn't argue. He didn't soften her words. He simply smirked, as if everything she said was already agreed upon between them. I put my fork down, my hand steady even though my heart wasn't, and without saying a single word, I stood and walked away. I'm glad to have you here. Stay with me until the end, and let me know which city you're watching from. The dining room felt colder than it should have. The light above us hummed faintly, flickering against the walls that once held laughter and warm Sunday dinners. My husband's chair still sat at the head of the table, cushion slightly indented from the last night he used it. His presence lingered everywhere, yet the silence he left behind had become a place for others to reshape the home we built. I climbed the stairs slowly that night, passing framed photos we collected through decades, vacations, anniversaries, quiet mornings captured in a single smile. They felt like artifacts now, proof of a life I still belonged to, even if the people downstairs wanted to erase it. In the bedroom, the air held his scent. The flannel shirt on the closet door brushed against my fingers when I walked by. I packed only a small suitcase. Not because I couldn't take more, but because I refused to let their cruelty dictate my movements. A few sweaters, a pair of jeans, my warm socks. I left the dresses he loved most where they were. Those belonged to a different moment, a different version of my life. When I came downstairs, neither of them spoke. My daughter-in-law watched me with a look of satisfaction she didn't bother to hide. My son avoided my eyes entirely. The quiet between us felt louder than any shouting match could have been. The night air met me gently when I stepped outside, cool enough to sting a little. I didn't know where I'd sleep. The motel sign at the edge of town flickered as if waiting for me, and I checked in without thinking too hard about it. The bed was stiff, the blankets scratchy, but it held me. For the first time that night, I allowed myself to breathe. By morning, I drove aimlessly not toward home, but toward places that had anchored me long before my son grew up and drifted into someone else's influence. I parked outside the grocery store where my husband and I used to shop on Saturday mornings. I didn't go inside. I just watched life happen, cars pulling in and out, families moving together, people walking by with morning coffee. The ordinary rhythm steadied me. I thought about the days after the funeral, the sudden quiet, the way the house felt too big without him. My son had visited, but briefly, and always with her shadowing every step, speaking for him, making decisions in his name. She had rearranged the house little by little, moving vases, replacing photos, taking possession room by room. At the time, grief blurred everything, and I let it happen. Now, with space between us, I could see the pattern clearly. I spent part of the morning at the library, tucked in the back corner near the tall windows. Rain began tapping lightly against the glass, each drop making the world look softer, gentler than it felt. Sitting there watching people pass, I realized something important. My son hadn't just slipped away from me, he, deep guided, shaped and nudged into becoming someone who could sit silently while his wife told his mother to disappear. The realization didn't break me, it clarified me. As the rain eased, I drove past the neighborhood where my husband and I first lived after getting married. Our old rental house had been repainted, remodeled, but the windows were the same. I stood on the sidewalk and remembered him waving at me from the porch, both hands raised, smiling like I was the best part of his day. Those memories felt like steady ground under my feet. Walking back to the car, I understood something that had been waiting quietly for me to see it. Grief hadn't made me weak. It had made me slow. Slow to notice the signs. Slow to respond. Slow to defend what was mine. But beneath that slowness, something stronger had been forming: clarity. By late afternoon, the sky softened into a pale gray. I drove without aim, letting the road unfold until I reached the small diner my husband and I once visited after errands. The neon sign buzzed the way it always had, and I slipped into a booth. Coffee warmed my hands. Comfort came in small, quiet sips. That's when I saw her, Martha, our old neighbor. She spotted me and hurried over with kindness in her eyes. She didn't ask questions at first. She just sat with me, letting the silence breathe. After a moment, she spoke. "I saw them yesterday," she said softly. "Your son and his wife. They were carrying boxes out of the house. Big ones." My breath caught. What kind of boxes? The kind people use when they're resorting things they don't want someone else to see. Her words settled heavily but not painfully. They confirmed what my heart already understood. She told me my daughter-in-law claimed I had moved into a senior home, that I needed help, that I wouldn't be coming back. A neat little story designed to erase me cleanly from my own life. But the world doesn't always bend to people's plans. I left the diner with a steadier heartbeat, a clearer mind. I drove past the old library, the quiet neighborhoods, and the streets that held pieces of my marriage. Everything felt familiar but different, like I was walking through the same world with a new pair of eyes. My son and his wife thought my silence meant surrender. But silence can mean many things. Sometimes silence is grief. Sometimes silence is shock. And sometimes silence is preparation. By the time the sun dipped below the roofs of the houses, I knew something for certain. They had pushed me out of my home. But they hadn't pushed me out of myself. If you enjoyed this chapter of my journey, don't forget to subscribe and like the video. To watch the full story and more everyday family dramas, visit HT Everyday Family Stories. The link is in the description.